Is this a spoiler review?
This is spoilers.
Well,
This is spoilers. Everyone's a vampire.
Hey everybody, it's me, Josh, and you're watching Council of Comics.
You know.
Everybody dies.
Almost everybody dies.
Almost.
You know, 2 people remain vampires.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
2 people actually live.
How deep are we really getting into this movie? Because this movie goes so
Well, you
deep.
You need to start with the thing you didn't want to talk about the first time.
Which was
the vampires like, yo, by the way, this thing.
Oh, yeah. If it weren't for the vampire, he wouldn't have known that the what was the sawmill? The old sawmill was a killing floor. He wouldn't have known that the guy that sold him the sawmill was the Grand Wizard Master, whatever the hell they call themselves, of the KKK.
Oh, that's
and
Grand Wizard, right?
He wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah.
For that moment, which was dope. Which is why, like, you're like, oh, the vampire's clearly the bad guy, right?
Right. And it's like, not really.
Not really.
And that trunk would have came. Remember when they mentioned it? He's like, oh, remember the trunk? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, the trunk. That would have came in handy.
That's one of the things I love about this movie is it raises so many questions. You could go look into so many different things in real life and history. And
why is this vampire so strange? Why is he partly altruistic and partly a menacing? You know, like, what is his game? Or is he just one of those vampires that's just been doing it for so long? He's like, I just want to see what happens.
I kind of feel like, you know, for one, it's the music, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not. It still didn't feel like, oh, I just want to take all his songs and appropriate it, right? Mm-hmm. It felt almost more like appreciation. And it kind of felt like I know in a way what you're going through, and I'm kind of like looking for that community that I lost, right? More than like I'm trying to like appropriate or assimilate. I mean, there is certain levels to that, but it felt more like if we can all like band together, we could actually do something. You know what I mean? Make sure something like this doesn't. It's weird.
It's
right?
weird because you have to kill people.
You're right.
To do that.
Right.
And they have no qualms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has no qualms
mm-hmm.
about creating these people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a cultish, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with the music part, I like the part where the guitar. Remember they said the dad, he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
And they reveal at the end that was his guitar. Mm-hmm. So I got that the vibes. That's where the vampire got the vibes from that before, because the dad was a real piece of doo-doo.
I think it was just more that Sammy was the one that was like transcend. He was the one that pierced the veil, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you could say it was the guitar. I think maybe it was both. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying it was the only thing.
Yeah. I think it was more that Sammy was the one who could pierce the veil. He could draw in the ancestors. He could draw in, I don't know. Remick was around for so long. Maybe he saw what music is capable of, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows? But that's the thing with this movie is like you could just keep going around. And I feel like I'm probably gonna see it again this Sunday. And I want to pay like a lot more attention because it goes so much deeper, than I think people even realize. I think they realize, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know.
Well, some people don't realize. Some people. There's a lot of stuff there you can take at face value that people have taken at face value, but it is a very deep movie. As far as spoilers, what was cool about?
So I know you caught the part where he starts saying the Lord's Prayer, and
that's my favorite part of the movie.
And then he's like, I.
Yeah, and I was a little taken back by that. I didn't like it at first. Mm-hmm. But then Kamaria, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, that was supposed to work, right? And I was like, it didn't work. And Kamaria goes, what do you mean it didn't work? And I was like, well, it didn't work. She's like, think about it. And I was like, oh, him saying the prayer made the vampire stop. Mm-hmm. And even though he was himself mocking and stuff like that, it bought time for the other twin to come and kill him.
Yeah.
So the prayer did work.
Also, he wasn't really mocking it.
He was kind of
He
sympathizing
was
with
reciting it, and he was like,
Well, he
that
was
they
saying that
said those.
He was kind of mocking it in my sense that when he was dunking him and stuff, because he was saying there's no up above, there's no down below, it's just us. You know what I mean?
In that part, yeah, but like when he says the prayer, he recites it with him, and then he says like, they said the same things when they brought that to my country. He said, but those words still did give me comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still deeper than just like, oh, sacrilegious, blasphemous. You know what I mean? Like, again, like conversations. You know what I mean?
Right. There's so much nuance and context happening all at one time.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, what is the scene actually saying right now? Like the scene is saying multiple things, but
because the prayer didn't work, right? But the hoodoo bag did.
Right. And also, if
he can't stab him
Yeah.
because of the bag. You see the bag give off a little.
And also, there's no above, no below. There's just us. But yet, all those freaking ancestors showed up, didn't they? So it clearly, hey, Mr. Vampire, you don't know everything, do you?
There's so many. There's so much more that I could go into.
Did you see both after credit scenes?
Yeah.
I was very taken aback that the other one was This Little Light of Mine.
That was cool.
He learned how to play guitar for that movie.
Oh yeah, Ludwig Göransson, the composer, taught him. Yeah,
he was a singer, but
right, not just any composer. No.
Yeah.
Ludwig, which is crazy too. How I don't want to. You know what? Never mind. He's dope though. Ludwig Göransson, a Swedish dude. Yeah. And I guess him and Ryan Coogler went to college together, and he does all of his music for his movies. That's pretty cool.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Moments? Come on, spoil it out. Spoiler.
I know, but like, what is there left to? Now that we have permission to spoil, it's like whatever. Did you like the first? Did you like the first freaking after credit scene where he's like 90 years old and it's like, oh look, you let your brother and Haley Steinfeld live, and you made a deal that if they don't mess with your life, you don't care that they live. And they show up like you're old as F now. Are you sure you don't want us to turn you into a vampire? He's like, nah.
I'll be like, no, not like this, man. If anything, like
no, but he didn't even do the not like this. He was just like.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Like,
he was like, no, I'm really happy being mortal. Although it was really. By the way, I actually read a review where they didn't care for her attire for her 1990s attire,
my God.
and I was like, get out! She looked fire. It was great.
That's like my era. When she walked in, I was like,
she looked amazing.
Yeah, and he had Stack had the Coogee sweater on.
Yeah, I thought they looked great.
That was fire.
I thought they looked era appropriate and they looked amazing.
Yeah. Do you think there's something to like there's obvious symbolism in red and blue, right? But you know how like Stack had the red hat and Smoke had the blue hat. You could do the obvious symbolism, right? Where like red is like passion and anger and violence and even like blood and sacrifice, which would make sense because he's the one who turned. And then blue being like calm, collected, sensible, whatever. But then there's also, you could be like, oh, maybe is it like the red pill and the blue pill thing? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the movie goes way beyond, way deeper than like surface level stuff. And I feel like
took
that
it
would
more
be
as this was a
surface
reflection of their personalities.
Yeah.
I didn't think that we were going too deep with the red and the blue. I thought that it was just.
It's a clear foreshadowing, though.
Yeah.
Well, if they want to do some sort of sequel, right?
I think this. I thought about that, and two things I thought about was a sequel and a prequel. The prequel would have nothing to do with supernatural stuff, but it would be the twins in Chicago with Capone as like a gangster movie, and them stealing whatever they had to steal, whatever, and it came down. That'd be the end of that movie. And the sequel would take place right after Stack and Haley Steinfeld's character leave that place. And their life going forward from there.
Look, I would watch both of those movies just because I love this movie so much. But I almost feel like I would. I know that if Ryan Coogler was going to make it, he would have a good story to tell and he would do it right. But at the same time, I don't know. I'd be worried that it cheapens. I don't know, just historically and even right now, like I'm so over the prequel thing. And I'm over
the sequel thing,
like remake,
and the reboot
like,
thing,
just to cash grab,
and the re-sequel boot,
yeah,
and whatever else you want to call it.
But like, I do want more from this universe. You know what I mean? Maybe they do it in another way with different characters. Maybe it's like a different, cultural aspect. Maybe it's like witches or like.
we could follow those Native American characters into another story.
That would be dope.
That's a great way to use a piece of this story and take us to another supernatural tale.
That would be cool. I don't know. There's so much.
What's your favorite part, Joseph?
My favorite part? Spoiler, cornbread. I thought cornbread was so funny.
Be kind to one another.
just that you remember that one scene where they thought the guy was bit, but it was ended up being wine. But the guy was bit and they threw him out, and just that one scene where he's knocking on the door, cornbread just goes, "Oh, look at you," and he just starts sprinting at him. I just thought it was so funny.
If I had to pick, see, even stupid little things, especially like after seeing the movie and being obsessed with the score and the soundtrack, like the Smokestack Twins theme in the beginning.
You should see it in IMAX.
Yeah, but when he rolls him up a cigarette and hands it to him, and then at the end you see that he can't roll his own cigarettes because he has PTSD from the war and he's shaking, like that shit makes me want to cry. Just that music, like, because I went back and I was watching like a clip and that song was playing while they were just standing there waiting for the guy, and you could see like he checks the time in his hand, he's like messing with his hand, and then Stack hands him the cigarette and they just pass it back and forth. To me that was so fire. And then but the clear, the big ones, right, are the juke joint where the ancestors come, where Sammy is singing and then the ancestors come. And that scene is just phenomenal. Like I can't even. There's not much I can even like really compare it to. To me, that was just such a dope sequence. And that's gonna last. That's gonna linger with like a lot of people. Also, the Rocky Road to Dublin, bro. I'm not even Irish. I'm Italian, but like
that scene in general, though, just how it was shot, it was just very
so dope. That song, I've been listening to that song now. I'm like, it's all over my
Spotify,
my algorithms on like every social media platform.
You're like, YouTube just keeps trying to play the song too. You're like, what?
But even that's so, and that's another thing too. It's like, yeah, he wants his songs, but that's why it didn't feel like he wants to like steal and appropriate his songs, because he has his own songs, and they're low key kind of fire. You know what I mean?
Didn't you say, Coogler? He had like a
Coogler said he loves, like he said he was obsessed with like Irish folk music, and even his kids, like in his house he plays it and stuff like that. And he said that it was very intentional that the vampire was Irish, right? And so that whole the Irish culture and black culture and all the similarities and stuff like that, that was really cool. And again, like, who's the villain? Is it, to me, it's not the vampires. To me, it's like, it's the KKK, and it's like the evil, like which is really weird, because how do you have like a ravenous vampire and that?
Well, right, because it's funny, because the vampire is, I just am what I am, right? The KKK, they have made their choices.
That's like the pure evil.
Right, that's the pure evil.
Yeah.
It's like, I am a vampire by nature. I'm just doing what we do. I'm like, do you expect the scorpion?
Line, though.
Right, but do you expect a scorpion not to sting? And then the KKK. You choose to do these terrible things.
The scorpion not to sing, but you also kill the scorpion. So.
Well, if you have a chance. I mean, they killed vampires when they had a chance.
So.
By the way, the Asian lady, right? When she was like, the fact that she's just like, you know what? Tonight my husband and I are going to die, right? Like, I felt like that was exactly, like, they all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about that, and I'm like, yeah, did you see anybody complain when she did that? They might have been like, oh man, like,
No, people are like dumb. They completely misconstrued that scene.
Yeah.
That scene isn't about, like different, like, that scene isn't about the color of your skin being closer to white, how white you act. That's a conversation, but not about this movie, right? Her opening the door was because she knew her and her husband were gotta die together that night. He came, she got him, and she was like, well, we're both going out. And I thought that was very powerful. I don't know about you.
I was on her side until she said, come on in.
Right, but
I was with her like, yeah, let's kill them. Let's figure out.
But I know, but someone had to do it.
And she's like, but they could have planned or did something.
That was the closest plan they had.
What? I was like,
yeah, but that's the thing. Everyone understood. Everyone knew what was going to happen. You know, they understood this was it. This was their final stand. There was no, how much planning could you do? You can't leave the building. You have everything at your disposal around you.
Wait it out as long as possible.
But they all know and love her daughter.
Yeah.
That was another thing.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like, yo, let's go. I'm willing to fight for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, again, like, people just want to be divisive as much as possible. They can't stand being unified on something. Yeah. It's just stupid.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that scene, it was clear. Everybody in that scene is clear. When she goes, come on in, like, they knew. She knew. Everyone knew. And when she went and grabbed her husband, you knew. When you do it, the whole freaking thing, and she knew. Everyone knew.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like this was not something that was layered.
No.
You know, this was not. It was clear.
Yeah.
They made their decision. She went for the door. She said, "Come on in." Boom. This is it. They knew this was fight time.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Absolutely.
Any other little thing?
Yeah, there's more. I'm forgetting something.
There's more.
I know, but I feel like these are the most important bullet points. You know.
Most important stuff.
Oh man.
It's a really great movie. We haven't had a really great movie in a long time. Thank you, 2025, for giving us a great movie and a decent Marvel movie too. Woo! Wow, 2 for 2.
But that's a story for another time, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, Coogler's getting the rights back in 25 years. That's kind of fire, and he's already made money off it. He doesn't have to wait for them to recoup.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
All right.
I don't think
That's our Sinners spoiler review. Bye.
Where are the heroes?